guys who took it over or inherited it from Welch, they sold off all of the buildings up there, made a lot of money, and moved to Appleton, Wisconsin. They were going to take over the McCarthy Foundation. And the first thing that they did, when they got to Appleton, they said to the committee, you've got to get rid of Eustace Mullins. And they were nonplussed by this because I had been the spark plug of the thing for some years. And there were some older people in it, but they were in their 80s and 90s, and they died off. And so I was almost the last survivor. And these Birch people came in and said, you've got to get rid of Eustace Mullins. In fact, whenever I'm into something and people come in, the infiltrators, first thing they say is get rid of Eustace Mullins. And the only reason is because they can't control me. They have no control, no leverage whatsoever, because I'm going to speak the truth, and that's the only thing I'm going to speak. So, obviously, this is the great stumbling block. Before they can go on with their ambitious plan, they have to get rid of me. And they always try. They work very hard. I think I mentioned, too, earlier, and I should have gone back to it, was that when I filed this $100 million suit in the federal court in Washington, D.C., down at 3rd and Pennsylvania Avenue, the Judge Harold Green was placed in charge of it. Well, I didn't know it at this time, but I found out later that Green, a very secretive individual, was a German Jew named Grunhaus. His name was Hein Grunhaus. And he came to the United States in 1943. Well, Jews were not allowed to immigrate in 1943, so he must have been sent over here as a double agent. And so he promptly joined the United States Army, and he and Henri Kissinger and a bunch of other communists went back to Germany as the occupation army. They didn't participate in the fighting. They waited until people like Audie Murphy had won all the battles and the war was over. Then in comes this influx of these people, a horde of refugees who became the occupation government of Germany. And Kissinger had the code name of Bohr as an official Soviet agent, which has been printed many times. He's never denied it. And one of his chief assistants was Grunhaus, who now called himself Green. I don't think he even changed his name legally. They don't bother. Don't have to. So Green came back and joined the Justice Department. He authored the Voting Rights Act of 1950, the Civil Rights Act, and became one of the most influential people in Washington. So they made him first a Superior Court judge, and then Lyndon Johnson put him on the federal court in Washington.